Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Jorn with his fantastic film all the way in from the Netherlands, Pig. Let's take a look at the clip. Jorn, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming all this way across the other side of the world to be here. Your animation was so good. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
So my film is about a pig, and the nose of the pig is an electrical socket, and like all other animals, they come to the pig and they plug in devices to the pig, and then they build a society around the energy source of the pig.
It's a brilliant story. Like, it's so much fun, and I felt like when I was watching it, I was being like read like a children's storybook, and it was very nostalgic and great. I really love the world that you created, and at the same time, it's like these adorable animals and living on the hill in these houses, and then energy. And I was just like, oh my goodness, we're taking so much for granted, the energy that we use around us as well. Tell us a little about the inspiration about turning this idea into a film.
So I didn't really started out like wanted doing a film about like energy crisis or something like that, but I wanted to make a film based on like a visual joke.
Mm-hmm.
And before I had made a film, I made it in 7 hours, and it was also based on like a visual joke.
Oh wow!
But it was like a sausage dog.
Yeah.
And it turns into a bridge to let other animals cross the river. And I was like, okay, I want to make a film like that again. And so I was thinking like, what else can I do? So I thought of the nose looks kind of like an electrical socket. And then I wanted to make it also like in a day, but then it turned out to be 4 years in the end.
It's brilliant though. I mean, honestly, the way that the way the animals come around, and like the idea of putting this like poor little socket in a pig's mouth, it's so good. But just style of animation, I just loved. I really felt like I was, it was so wonderfully illustrated. You say it takes 4 years.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the journey. Like, how is that journey? What comes first? Is it, story, characters, idea? Like, how was that experience for you as an animator?
So I started out like drawing a storyboard from the idea of the pig, and then I just basically improvised the story, and then it became. I was trying to think of jokes when like the power source goes out. All of a sudden, what can happen? And so I lined all those jokes up in a row, and then see how they connected with each other. And then I pitched this idea to a producer, and then she said like, "Oh, I like it. Let's go to the film fund." So we applied for first for development money to develop the animatic, and so I made the animatic. And it was basically how the film turned out in the end, almost the same. And then I had to pitch it again to the film fund, and then had to wait for a little bit, and then I got money to make the film.
Oh, congratulations on that. That's amazing. There's so many funny jokes in there. Like, I don't want to give too much away, and they're all like dancing and they're doing their thing, and then it's like, oh my goodness, I honestly got to watch it to see it. It's really clever. Is it quite? When you're writing it, like, are you quite? Have you got like? Are you a comedian? Is that what it is? Are you a comedian, or did you kind of? How did you go about finding that? Because there was really a lot of good humor in there as well.
Yeah, I do write it a little bit like the approach is like a comedy.
Yeah.
At first, but then I try to spin it around to like maybe like more like a dark comedy actually. But it's also try to have like a message in it as well.
No, what fascinates me, Jorn, is the world that you created as an animator. Like, I fell in love with this world, this kind of environment, this like houses on the hill. Like, how do you go about creating the kind of? I know you storyboarded, but how do you go about creating like, oh, this is how I want it to like look and feel as like a universe?
So like the backgrounds are all inspired by the houses of my hometown. And
Oh,
they're all like I sent photos to illustrator Janneke Ipenberg. She's a children's book illustrator,
oh wow.
and I sent her photos of the city archives, and she just started drawing all these houses and factories, and then I just stacked them on top of each other like a collage
Oh
digitally.
wow. Oh,
But
that's
she drew
fantastic.
them all on paper with pencils and watercolors.
Oh, fantastic.
And,
And now you kind of made this film. Like, I was like, almost like, oh my god, we're gonna get a series here. Is there more with these characters, or was it just kind of a one-off experience for you?
sorry.
Would you like? I love this world so much and the characters that you
Mm.
created. Like, is it something you're going to extend this story, or create like a series, or do something longer in this kind of category this with this film?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of different stories that are kind of similar to this film and also to my graduation film. It's also in a similar style with animals and like a children's kind of story that has twists and then it gets dark and and it has like a message of some kind. And I'm thinking of different stories, so I want to try to write them like they match them together and then try to make an animated series out of them.
Oh, good.
But it's like a similar style. Yeah.
Well, I said to you last night on the stage, I said, listen, this story, like, I normally it's a children's book that gets converted into a film.
Mhm.
I'm like, can we have the book, please? Can you make the book version? Is there plans for that? Can we make the book version of Pig?
I'm thinking about it.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to read it to my nephew. It's so good. Like, honestly, I really think it's a great idea. I mean, I know you didn't go about thinking about energy, like, and that wasn't you were, going it from a different angle. But I mean, there is like some morality that I think is great in children's books, and everything is like of how to conserve energy. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I was reading a book and I turned a couple of my lights up. I was like, I need to put that light on right now. I mean, is there been a reaction of that as well? Like with your film, like did people ask you that question of like, oh, are you trying to kind of look at energy perspective as well?
Yeah. When I was drawing the storyboards, like of course it became obvious like that there's this theme of energy. So I tried to make a parody of like daily life,
Yeah.
how people go about using energy for luxury and like overusing it and using it in silly ways,
Yeah.
but also in ways that are like very important. But and when it goes away, then it's like the society is like not functioning anymore because you've become so dependent on it. So that's a really interesting topic to me.
And you can confirm that there was no pig or elephant noses harmed in the making of this film, right? Just to clarify.
Maybe my sound designer did something with that. I don't know.
No, it's a beautifully cute story, and I love I want to see the one with the sausage dog now because that's fantastic, and I do love your humor, and I think there's going to be so many more adventures you're going to take us on. What have you learned mostly from this project?
Well, I did it all by myself, basically, all the
Wow.
animation. So, and it took me a long time.
Yeah.
So what I learned is like maybe I want to work with more people.
Yeah. Right.
Like like that would be like I would work faster, but it would also be more interesting just to collaborate with different artists.
And what is next? What is the next project you're focused on right now?
So I'm writing the animated series, and that's what I'm mostly focused on. But it's very early, so I have some basic stories, but I'm still looking into how to make it work as like a bigger narrative.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
And as an animator, aside from working with more people, for any budding animators out there, do you have any advice that you would share to other filmmakers, to our audience?
I think if you want to start out as an animator, you can just do a lot by yourself and keep it really simple, and don't overcomplicate it. Just tell your story and you can do it a lot by yourself on a computer. So just try to start out like with a very very basic thing and then try to make it bigger. that's
Well,
what I did.
that's a really good piece of advice, honestly. And listen, thank you for bringing Pig. Thank you for. I'm looking forward to Pig the book. And really excited for your animated series. So thank you very much, and thank you for coming all the way from the Netherlands to be here. We're very happy to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
hosting me.
Appreciate you on those.